Hello everyone. This is our first presentation of understanding data visualization. There are three people in our group. Wenyang works as technologist, Ying works as our designer, and Jianfei works as a data analyst. Today we are going to talk about happiness. According to the positive psychology, happiness is the state of mind or feeling characterized by contentment, love, satisfaction, pleasure, or joy. Happiness is very important. In our daily lives, people work more efficiently and are more productive when they are in high mood. Happiness is also a very important indicator for identifying the quality of life. High level life quality is usually regarded with high scored happiness. Also, it is reported that happiness is related to immigration. People are more likely to immigrate to countries and cities with high happiness incidence. Areas with high happiness scores are more tolerant and inclusive to immigrant populations. Happiness has related a series of social and financial problems. In this report, we aim to use data to analyze what the world happiness changes. Compare the relations between happiness and tourism, happiness and baby birth, happiness and alcohol consumption.
Thanks for Yuying's introduction of happiness of the world. From this part, we start to talk about where we obtained the datasets and what these data types and meanings are. As introduced before, we didn't discuss the relations between happiness index and some conventional arguments, such as government policies, economics, and something like that. But it doesn't mean they are not important. We're just trying to make data analysis interesting and refreshing. So we focus on the happiness distribution, terrorism, alcohol consumptions, and birth rate datasets. The first three of them are scraped from Kaggle, and the last one is a download from the World Bank website. Okay, let's begin. Firstly, these two pictures are the screenshots from the part of datasets of happiness in the world. The first one is happiness index in different countries in 2017, and the second one is the ranking changes of these countries from 2008 to 2017. You can see that both of them belong to cross-tabulated type, and the according meaning of each column is obvious, such as the happiness score is an average, the whisker low or high is the extreme value. For this screenshot, it's also the happiness index changes from 2008 to 2017, but it places the different happiness indices by time series of the same country together. As for the happiness and terrorism in 2016, we plan to discuss the relation between of them. The pro state represents provincial state. The different latitudes and longitudes shows the exact site where terrorism attacks happened. When it comes to the happiness and alcohol consumptions, we think higher alcohol consumptions means that people spend more spare time and money on entertainments. This is a factor of high happiness index. To be more specific, HDI is Human Development Index by United Nations Development Program. GDP per capita is Gross Domestic Product Index, and the spirit per capita means consumption of spirits drink per capita. Last one, happiness with birth rate in 2015. In this dataset, the first column is country name, the second one is the abbreviation of the country, such as AUS is the abbreviation of Australia. The fourth column is number of births per 1,000 population. Well, that's all. Now it's Liu Wenyang's turn to introduce the chart analysis.
As Yu Ying mentioned, there are 5 points in this presentation. The first part is World Happiness Score, and I will use map chart to show the distribution of the happiness around the world. The second part is about happiness changes from 2008 to 2017. I will use double bar chart to show the top 10 growth and decline. The third point is the relationship between happiness and terrorism. Also, I will use map as a background and add scatter as a terrorism event. The last 2 points use similar chart to find the relationship between the happiness and birth, as well as happiness and alcohol. So, let's go to the details. This is the first chart. This is the global happiness distribution. The score value from 2.7 to 7.5, with a perfect score of 10. The lighter the color, the lower the score. Conversely, the darker the color, the higher the score. For this chart of distribution, we can roughly see that people in developed countries are happier than people in developing countries, such as United States, Australia, Europe. This is because developed countries have higher per capita GDP and people do not have to worry about basic living needs. People in developed countries can receive better medical service. Then, democratic system in developed countries allow people to feel freedom in their lives. On the contrary, developing countries cannot satisfy their people with as much happiness as developed countries do. Although most developing countries can meet people's basic needs, people do not have the exact money to carry out entertainment activities. Third, developing countries invest low in medical service, which cannot guarantee people's health. The freedom of some developing countries is not high, and people have certain restrictions on their speech. Reading the roughly distribution, let's look at the countries with the greatest growth in happiness from 2008 to 2017, and the country with the largest decline. Sierra Leone has become the fastest growth country in terms of happiness. It was very low in 2008, less than 3. This is because GDP ranking of it was very low in 2008, about number 143. But in 2017, its score grew by 1.7, far more than other countries, because in 2012, due to the rise of the domestic mining industry, especially the increase in iron exports, the country's economy has been greatly improved. Syria's happiness has fallen the fastest because which is caused by a long war. Venezuela's decline in happiness is also very serious. Domestic inflation and economic increase in 2014 cannot guarantee basic living needs such as food and housing. Therefore, the greatest impact on people's happiness is whether they can meet people's basic needs. Only after people have satisfied their food and clothing, they will have a deep level of happiness. This slot plot. The background image is the happiness index distribution map mentioned before, but we use different blue shading to express different happiness index. The intensity of the red dot represents frequency of the terrorist attacks. The more numbers of terrorist attacks happen in the related area, the more red dot distribution concentrated. In addition, from the result of the dataset, we conclude that Iraq is the country in which most terrorist attacks happened, followed by Pakistan and India in a tightly packed bunch. All these three countries are part of Middle East and South Africa, and our geographical analysis also showed that the number of terrorist attacks in the Middle East and South Africa accounted for nearby one-third of global statistics. To our knowledge, conflicts between countries in this region sometimes occur due to border terrorists, such as India and Pakistan. Corroboratingly, we can also clearly see from the background map and that the blue shading response by these countries is more shallow than other countries. That is to say, the happiness index is low. It shows that the terrorist attacks have a significant impact on human life. Firstly, it seriously poses a threat to civil liberty and life safety. For example, people in this area have limited choice in daily activities such as work, public transportation, bus, train, public parties, and air travel. In addition, the threat for death is the most struggling. Long-term life under such fear is more likely to cause anxiety and helplessness, and mental stress has increased. This fear will continue for several years after a terrorist attack. On the other hand, terrorist attack will also have negative impact on the country economy. For example, after the 9/11, the 11 airlines suffered huge economic loss and were forced to lay off many staff members during this period. The unemployment rate of citizens rose. These ordinary people did not do anything wrong but suffered from terrorist attack. As the bad consequence, the happiness index will naturally be very low. When it comes to relation between birth rate and happiness index, this chart shows that people living in a country with a lower birth rate will feel happier. We list the top 15 and bottom 15 countries with corresponding birth rate respectively. In average, the higher birth rate the country has, the happier people in this country would feel. The birth rate of top 5 countries floats around 11, while that of bottom 5 countries nearly rise up to 35. The latter is far more than the average world birth rate, 20. It is known as that when a family raises too many children, the parents will face huge pressure from household expenditure, children education, and something like this kind of stuff. They need to keep working and handle many problems, such as conflicts between children. It would reduce parents' leisure time and bring more mental stress, which is horrible sometimes. Besides, high birth rate means the intense social competition. For example, hundreds of people compete for one work position. Many people are in pending employment or unemployment status. This can also lead to the decrease of happiness index. Another interesting point is about the relationship between alcohol and happiness. We compare the degree of happiness with the amount of alcohol we drink. We find that countries with more alcohol drink have higher happiness. Alcohol actually indicates three problems in a country. First, per capita income is not low. People can afford to pay for alcohol while ensuring warmth and living. Second, people have free time. In general, people drink alcohol during social activity, which means that people have time to socialize after work, and their lives are more than just work. Third, chatting. People often chat while drinking with colleagues, friends, and family. Chatting can enable people to express their feelings, ease the press in life, and even be able to meet new friends, which allows them to get happiness from them. So alcohol actually represents income, time, and spiritual wealthy. These are important components of happiness. That's all. Thank you.